Today's webinar, the intersection of AI and cybersecurity. My name is Rich Rosalia. I will be your moderator for today's session. Before we begin going over this important content, I just want to go over a couple of housekeeping items. First, today's webinar will last approximately 45 minutes. That includes time at the end for questions and answers. All participant microphones are set to mute. If you have questions, please use the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen to submit them. We'll either answer them during the presentation or we'll hold them till the end and answer them at the end. Today's session is being recorded and we're going to have it uploaded to our company website, so it'll be there for future reference in case you want to share it with any of your team members or other contacts. The topic of today's session is all about the growing impact that AI is having on cybersecurity, and specifically how it can both help and be a threat in that environment. We're very fortunate to have Bob Furman, who is BridgePoint's Director of Service Delivery, to lead us through today's discussion. Bob is an expert in cybersecurity and is quickly becoming an expert on AI. So without further ado, let me introduce Bob, and thank you once again for being with us here today.
Thanks, Rich. Yeah, so today it's going to be a lot thrown at you, but it's a mixture of information and entertainment. But hopefully you'll walk away with a curiosity about it as Rich touched on, how AI can be used for both good and bad. And here's one example of something that's called a deepfake.
I am not Morgan Freeman, and what you see is not real. Well, at least in contemporary terms, it is not. What if I were to tell you that I am not even a human being? Would you believe me? What is your perception of reality? Is it the ability to capture, process, and make sense of the information our senses receive? If you can see, hear, taste, or smell something, does that make it real? Or is it simply the ability to feel? I would like to welcome you to the era of synthetic reality. Now, what do you see?
And we did not pay him $2 million for that promo. This is something I did this morning. Just another deepfake example. Did this on my cell phone. I'm demonstrating how easy it is for hackers to make things. This one even freaked me out a little bit when I did it this morning. I'm not going to lie.
Good morning. This is Bob Furman of BridgePoint Technologies.
Took me 3 seconds to make that with the power of a cell phone. So AI is out there. It is, as we said, it's good and bad. So we're going to start on, the good. So AI can be used for a variety of facets, and there's different engines and platforms out there. Right now, a lot of them are still free, no cost, or you might have to sign up with an email to generate information or materials. This again is free. If you take a simple static image off the web, and of this one in this example, Elon Musk, and you pick a video, you can then say, take the AI engine, you tell it, take that single picture and put it on a video. And watch up top right, it's like almost instantly, it said 19.2 seconds it generated that video. Matches the blinking, the head tilts, it's insane. I mean, I work with tech for 30 plus years, and it's still astounding to me how fast things are exploding geometrically. Very powerful stuff. There's different engines out there. We're not going to go in the weeds on the technical side because that's not what this seminar is about. But there's machine learning, deep learning, NLP. There's others, but basically the way I say it is you can define AI as an entity with perfect memory. It can adjust a vast amount, no limits to its knowledge base. The one I use, like doctors can only read so many medical studies around the world from all these wonderful institutions about cancer or other things. But you feed all those papers into AI and basically tell it to give you output on this person-specific biologics. So it is being used in very cool, powerful ways for good. You may have noticed if you use Google Chrome, when you do searches in Chrome now, and there's another reason I brought this up, is they're even using their AI engine now to give you answers. Me being me, one of the things I do in my cybersecurity training for our customers is I bait people to say, name a free search engine, and they Google. It's not free. I didn't say it costs money. I said the word free. If you notice here, there's no ads. So Google is self-defeating right now with their AI application and their search engine because they're pushing down their paid advertisements on search results, which I thought was interesting. We'll see how long that lasts. What I've actually been doing is I've been using ChatGPT. There are others again out there. I try to avoid Google out of habit and break my habits. I'm trying to use ChatGPT now. The reason being you get more concise answers and you're not getting advertisement. Right now in the free ChatGPT engine, and you do it through a web browser. You don't even need to install an app, but you can also install ChatGPT as an app on your phone. You can pose it a question, it gives you an answer. Be it a legal issue in the state of Illinois, being it, how can I attract people that if I'm putting out a job posting, there's very powerful applications to it. And I'm even trying to break my habit on using Google as a search engine, use ChatGPT or some other AI. So AI in a positive way. How can folks like us in BridgePoint Technologies rely on AI or use it as an application? So part of what I do and other people on my team is a lot of webinars, online webinars, going to seminars, learning, trying to keep up on current trends. So we have partners in our IT stack that we provide applications to our customers that use AI in protecting a machine. So for old like me, if you've got Norton antivirus, McAfee, however you pronounce it, back in the old days, antivirus engines were a database of known viruses. That is basically very limited, if any, value anymore, because of the sophistication of hackers is they can create a brand new virus or malware package in seconds. It'll have a unique fingerprint. Nobody knows about it because it didn't exist until that hacker created that new little infant malware. So those are gone. Where AI helps now is it can set benchmarks for each employee. So it will capture vast amount of data and logs and activity that this user may perform in a normal day, and they'll track this, let's say, for weeks to months. And it will set a benchmark. It'll say, okay, every day they log in between 8:30 and 9:30 a.m. Central Time. They launch Outlook, they launch Chrome. They might launch a document management system or a CRM system if they're in sales. They're going to see the behaviors that this person normally does. And as an example, if in 3 months they never ever opened this utility called Windows PowerShell, which is where you can do scripting for good reasons, but also very bad reasons. And it's a module that hackers rely on if they can get a footprint and a handhold on a machine. If this user suddenly fires up PowerShell, AI is going to flag it and say this is abnormal behavior for this specific user because they're not a coder. And they can immediately isolate or ring fence that application from doing anything to the machine or the greater damage going to the whole network. So that's really cool stuff, how AI is being used. Because again, a human can't really do that. Even if they sat there staring at a machine, these applications can run in the background where you don't even see them, but the AI engine can. It's not the old days where you get pop-ups of adult content or something that kind of gave you an idea that you got hacked. These guys don't want you to know now. They want to get in and take your data. So that's why using AI to analyze the behaviors, the tasks, the modules, the processes, it's a deep dive and it's constantly monitoring and supervising what you're doing. So you can't just do fingerprint evaluations anymore. The other cool thing about AI is, routine tasks. So you can say, patching, the user is actually working on the machine, don't apply the patch because it's a disruptive event. It's going to require a reboot. So workflow tasks that you're doing, you can use AI to help limit the disruption to a device or a server, a network. It's also getting much better using AI to identify what we call phishing, phishing. If you're not familiar with that, I'm sure you've seen them, but that's the name we give it in the cyber side. It's hi, you owe me money, or hi, I owe you money, or I'm the IRS during tax season, or one of our webinars coming up is, things they will do during the holiday season to try to get your attention. So AI can help better identify and prevent those emails from getting into your system. So it doesn't even land in your inbox. It used to be with email security, 15 years ago, you would pay for a service like through us or BridgePoint that would maintain a list of email addresses that were known to send out viruses. That too is gone. Hackers with scripting and using AI they can create a bunch of brand new emails in Gmail that are free, and then send out an email to you saying, "Hi, I'm your boss. I need you to get me gift cards. Click here." So AI is helping reduce and better identify those items that are coming in, and we're preventing them from hitting your inbox. So there's not even that risk of a distracted person clicking on a link. So the other positive way you can use AI, this is ChatGPT. So I fed it a prompt of act as a marketing/sales professional and provide a short article on how to improve your click-through rate from Google web searches. So I pasted that into the prompt, and I put a timer to the right just to show you this is live. And I think it comes in under 17 seconds. It gives me a very concise piece of information. I use this to write my LinkedIn articles. I'm not going to hide from it or lie, because it's going to have proper grammar. It's going to point out things that maybe I didn't think of as I'm trying to post something that I think would be informative to people that follow me on LinkedIn. But it's took 17 seconds for it to generate that thing. You copy paste it, put it in a LinkedIn article, and you're off to the races. And like I mentioned earlier, crafting a job posting. You could use ChatGPT to attract better candidates. AI is so good that there are more and more studies and news articles coming out. The sky is falling. We'll see where this lands and how much of this ends up being truthful, but it's coming. I don't know if it'll be 78% of legal occupations will be replaced. They've been talking about fixed fee legal for a while, but nobody's been able to really pull it off because every case and every person is unique. But marketing and, like I said, writing articles, and as you're going to see coming up, even generating content like deepfakes or other graphics. So graphic people may be impacted because you can do text to graphics, which we're going to see about in a few slides. Another one, I had to put this one in just out of selfishness. I used to be an IT director at a national law firm, and I would go out and travel from LA to New York to put in a new phone system, especially when VoIP was first coming along. And I'd be like, okay, well, I've done my part on the technical side and all the handsets are on the desk. Somebody needs to record the new greeting for when customers call in. Hi, thank you for calling BridgePoint. Please press 1. Nobody ever wanted to do it. So I would get frustrated and I would just do it. My lovely non-radio voice. So I would do it. But now it's nice. I can use AI to create a auto attendant greeting, a voicemail greeting, I'm on vacation. So this is just another quick example. It's text to speech. And again, these are usually free. You can find them. There's different ones out there. And after feeding it the text, it will come back and generate the audio file that you can download.
Are you interested in learning about how artificial intelligence can assist your organization? BridgePoint Technologies assists organizations in evaluating how AI platforms may assist in improving the services or support to their customers. Please contact us to schedule time to have a discussion on integrating AI into your services and workflow.
So on that voice, for some of you, if you're on social media feeds, hopefully not TikTok. And as an example, I don't even have Facebook. I still don't trust it for a variety of reasons. But that voice apparently is very, very popular for online influencers that they use as their voice. So now if we pivot over from how is it used positive, AI to write an article, a resume, job posting, LinkedIn articles. So how is AI being used? Well, the hackers, old school hackers they call them script kiddies. It was more like kids in a club. Dungeons and Dragons pivoted to script kiddies where they were just challenging each other. Hey, let's see who can break into the CIA, or let's pick a company and see who's the first one that can get into their email system. It was bad, but it was for fun for these kids. But then they turned it into revenue generation. It's upwards of $7 billion a year, I think now, from ransomware attacks and other threats. If you don't give me Bitcoin, I'm going to release sensitive information about you and your company. So hackers started learning about AI as soon as it became available. So we call them, those are the black hats, and then you got BridgePoint and others that are the white hats. We're hoping that white hats stay ahead of the curve, but it's tough now with AI because it moves so quickly. So AI is absolutely being used for general attacks as well as targeted. So one of the things I mentioned earlier about phishing emails, where AI is getting better at identifying it, part of my training on how to identify bad emails is usually it's English as a second language was the hacker coming in, and you could kind of get the grammar was off, the spelling was off, even sometimes the formatting, the punctuation was off. And I always say, trust your spidey sense when you see that, and don't click on links or respond to those emails. But now with AI, as you just saw, I can feed text into an AI engine. I can pick a female male voice. I can choose an accent of a country. If I'm targeting a company that's in Ireland, I could pick an accent, and I could attach it as a voicemail or something to an email. And now my voicemail is saying, hi, you owe me money. Because in an email, AI can see the text, but is AI yet being used to actually read the voice, an audio file? So hackers are getting creative where they're trying to bypass all the stuff that BridgePoint puts in place. They keep pivoting and trying to get outside it. And that's where I say we got to catch that. So they are getting that creative. The other one we're seeing is QR codes. You'll get an email with a QR code. Why? Well, they want you to use your personal phone normally and scan that QR code, which then takes you to a website on your cell phone. I have no protective measures on your cell phone. It's a personal device, not corporate issued. There are solutions out there, but hackers know usually people are using a personal cell phone. So I have no endpoint protection. I have no monitoring. I have no AI engine on it. The hackers are trying to get you out of your corporate email off onto your personal mobile device. And that's where AI can create a QR code. They can mass script 1,000 emails going out instead of 100. So hackers are absolutely using AI to get better at the emails and methodology to get you out of protective systems into other ones. The other one is targeted attacks. So part of it is you can even go to AI to do coding. So I know very limited Visual Basic, very limited for macros and Word and Excel. I went to this preparing for this webinar. That's how many coding engines that ChatGPT can help you with. There are people now that are accelerating how many apps are going onto mobile phones, because you can even use some AI engines to create a game, a mobile game. You don't even need to know Python or PHP or anything else. So it's very powerful, and hackers are using it. We've all been on things like this, right? I call it the Brady Bunch. You got all the talking heads, you got the videos, you got people talking. Some have cameras, some don't. There was one that came out of Hong Kong. It was a very large conglomerate. They had this person in finance got invited to a meeting of people they normally would be in meetings with the talking heads. There were little bubble heads like Brady Bunch of his CFO and other people that he worked with from London to the US or wherever. And during that meeting, the CFO says, hey, I don't know the exact details, but hey, that merger and acquisition is going through out of London. I need you to wire 25 million from our operating account or this fund over to this electronic transfer. He was talking to his boss. It ends up nobody was on that was a real person except the person that got scammed. So within minutes, they wired out 25 million, and within seconds, it got transferred to 16 different accounts and converted to Bitcoin, and it was gone. This is what motivates hackers. It's a lot of money. This is one payday. That person could just hang up their hacker shoes and call it life, right? And go semi-retire. So it's scary how quick they're using it. When you get to targeted attacks, this is older, it's 20 years old already. Stuxnet. If you're not familiar, Stuxnet, and it's all alleged, this is for entertainment purposes only. I don't want the federal government coming after me because their AI is probably translating as I speak. But they allegedly US security and Israel created a targeted malware to specifically go after centrifuges in Iran that were being used for enriching uranium. And it was very, very successful, again, allegedly, and it dramatically slowed down Iran's ability to take enriched uranium to make bad things. This thing was very sophisticated. It was AI 20 years ago. Imagine what they're doing today. So if it was that powerful 20 years ago, where it would just go from computer to computer until it saw something that had to do with centrifuges, that's how smart it was 20 years ago. So imagine if somebody is upset with you, a disgruntled employee or a competitor, and they targeted your organization. They can come at you fast using AI. So password cracking, back in the day, it was like the script kiddies I mentioned, brute force. Brute force is you take a dictionary and you take one word at a time and you throw it at an email account. So back in the day, there may not be unlimited login attempts before it would lock your account. Now you may have seen that if you go into an account you don't use that often, you get frustrated because you can't remember your password and it says you have 2 more chances before it'll lock. Back in the day, that didn't happen. They brute force it. Well, with AI, they can try to get around those failed login attempts through coding. So AI can throw passwords and variations of passwords a lot quicker at an account or an online portal. So that is scary to me. The other thing is people that don't program their online platforms properly to say after 3 login attempts, lock the account and send me an alert or send my help desk an alert, my IT folks. The other one is you can do geofencing, where you can say if they're not logging in within the domestic US, don't let them in at all. Hackers know how to get around that through VPN tunnels and IP. They can change IP headers and whatnot. So again, it's always the white hats chasing the black hats, unfortunately. White hats will lead on something, and the black hats will just steer the horse around it. Vulnerability scanning, like I talked about with Stuxnet, vulnerability scanning, AI is being used to attack what's called zero-day impact. So zero-day vulnerability is, we'll use Microsoft Windows as the big one. So Microsoft Windows patches constantly, at least every month, are releasing, less critical patches. If a critical one is discovered, they may push it out that same day once they have the fix. But a 0-day is where a hacker has identified an open door in the Windows system that Microsoft is not yet aware of. What happens, unfortunately, is hackers tend to brag and share that information. Well, now with AI, they're turning around and figuring out how to attack and walk through that open door on a device on the internet that's running Windows. So that is also very concerning for AI. So that's where bad AI is used to find, they discover a 0-day or an open door. They make a malware to go through that open door. That's the bad. The good is, well, now AI on the good side is looking at behavior. Why all of a sudden is this device on a network streaming a large amount of data in and out to the network? That's not normal. They're exceeding their normal bandwidth and touches of the internet. So that can be, AI can be used on the good side to go say, well, I don't even know what that door is, but I'm going to isolate this machine. So that's another cool thing about AI. But again, it's looking for that behavior. And that's what the AI too, the behavior manipulation. That's why I mentioned I don't have Facebook. Be very careful what you put online. My boy Tommy's 11th birthday is today. Well, now they know your kid's birth date, which unfortunately people use in passwords. You may say, oh, there's a survey on Facebook about what's the first concert you went to, and then you put that band out there. Well, you may be a fan of the band where you use that in your password. So be very careful with what you put online, because AI, they've been doing that social analysis for a while for people manually, but now with AI, they can point it at your Facebook. They can say, pull down every single post this person's ever made. Find me, give me a list of the top 10 words that are repeated in any of their posts. So when they get that coding that they got from AI, and then they point it at your Facebook, if it's public facing, imagine what they can figure out. Patterns, your kids' names, your pets' names, the car you drive, things that people unfortunately use in passwords. That's why it's important, by the way, to use long passwords that make gobbledygook sense. Long phrases are good, but I prefer 12 or longer characters with random numbers, symbols. Just make it complicated. That's huge. That really slows down brute force and the other thing of them scraping your social media feeds. The other thing that's an absolute must is multi-factor authentication. You have to turn that on for all work and personal accounts. Google it, Amazon Prime, MFA, multi-factor authentication. You should get a hit. Or like I said earlier, use ChatGPT to try to find it. But do LinkedIn, do your work email if it's not already on. Every platform you have, it's very important that you put MFA on everything. So the other thing so far that is there, but I think it'll be soon. My prediction is within 6 months, something's going to happen. They'll be very bad. Most AI engines are programmed to limit bad things. I don't know how else to really say it. So for example, I went to ChatGPT and I stated, how can I use AI to create malware to infect computers? It immediately said, I violated the usage policies and it would not assist me with that. Well, that's because AI engines are using something similar to, I put at the bottom here, if you're not familiar with it, but Isaac Asimov's laws of robotics. You can't hurt humans, you can't violate the first law, then third law can't violate the second or first law. So far, the popular AI engines have limitations as to what they will do. Somebody's going to reverse engine and open AI, like ChatGPT. That's my prediction. Somebody's already got the code. They're going to reverse engineer it. They're going to take out filters. That's going to make things even worse for a variety of reasons, as you may understand. I'm not even going to give examples, but that's my concern as to somebody figuring out how to take out these protections. So things you can do, right? So the white hat, black hat, fighting fire with fire, or fighting AI with AI. Advanced threat detection, can't use AV, looking just for a known virus, back in the day, NIMDA or anything else, not sufficient anymore. Patching, very important. BridgePoint does automatic patching for the devices we monitor, Windows and servers and whatnot. You have to patch. If you have a home device that you use to access, because everything's cloud anymore, or should be, it's a good thing. But if you're using a personal device at home, a laptop, desktop, or your teenage kid's Chromebook or laptop that provided by the school district with your tax dollars, those have to be patched. I would say the easy thing is don't ever use any device unless it's company issued and managed by your internal IT or external IT like BridgePoint. It's just not worth it. There were a lot of things at COVID that came out because people pivoted. They got kicked out of their offices. They had to leave their desktop, corporate desktop at home or at the office. They didn't have laptops at the time. They went home. They had to stay in business. They just grabbed whatever they had at home. So we had an uptick of tickets coming in because of infections. People weren't patched. There were performance issues as well. But updates are very important to do that, including on your phones, iPhone, Droid. If you see that, in the news or you're getting a prompt on your phone, I know some updates you get mad at because the battery may change, battery life. Still more important, necessary evil. You have to do those updates as quickly as you can. Because when they come out with that big red flag, I'm an iPhone guy, big red badge that says you have an update, it's because somebody found a 0-day and they're trying to protect their users. So it is important to do those patches on your mobile devices, your iPads, your laptops, everything. I touched on multi-factor earlier. That's your friend. Do not get frustrated by it. Once you do 1 or 2 accounts, it gets easier to do the rest. Just sit down with a cup of coffee on Saturday and just slowly go through all your accounts and turn on MFA. And again, strong password, 12 characters or more with symbols and characters, or symbols, characters, and numbers. Continuous monitoring, that's more like the stuff we do. So we're using AI-based platforms to look for behaviors, capture logs, look for anomalies, ring fence, automatically and isolate it. One of our products proved its worth for a couple times now in the last few months, because I always get concerned about the end user, and that's the last bullet point here is, but a user was trying to figure out what their taxes would be if they pivoted from AT&T TV in their home to streaming with Hulu. But somebody had probably said to them, well, be careful because the taxes, can be high depending where you live for Hulu. So this employee at their lunchtime, and we know people use corporate equipment for personal stuff, so it's unavoidable usually. So they used their web browser, they did a search, and they downloaded a zip file that allegedly was going to tell them how to calculate their taxes. They launched the zip file. It had a self-executing exe, executable file, which tried to create ransomware on this person's computer in the office. Our AI engine saw that within, I think it was 12 seconds, and isolated that device from the network. And we got a ticket in our system. I was so happy, and the client was even happier when I explained to them what about just happened. So, because one of our AI engines drops what they call canary files. So canary in the coal mine, if you're familiar with that, you put a canary in a cage, it goes down with the coal miner. If the bird falls over, there's carbon dioxide or other poisonous gases. It was an early alert that all the miners had to get out of the cave. So our AI drops canary files, PDF, Word, and Excel, because those are the big ones that hackers target. And as soon as it sees encryption trying to attack those canary files, it can immediately lock it. So that's a very cool, positive way to use AI. AI, no matter what we do, and we've got everything patched, I can't stop a user from taking a phone call on their personal phone and verbally giving their password to a hacker. And this happens. Engineers, MBAs, everybody thinks they're never going to get tricked. Trust me, because this is what we do. I've been doing this again a long time. Everyone can get tricked. They play in emotion. They play in urgency. They play with money. It can happen by email to, this is my new cell phone. I'm in a meeting. Don't call me. Text me. Well, because if you call them and they're not using AI, you're going to recognize it's not your boss, right? So they try to, again, get you out of email, get you off a protected device onto your personal cell phone. So user education is huge. Like things like today, hopefully I'm showing you things you're considering already to improve your cyber risk at your organization and personally. But don't overlook training users. And I know people are always busy. I've learned from doing this for a long time, it's 20 minutes or short like this one, 20 to 40 minutes. Otherwise you lose people no matter how many funny things I put in here. But please consider training programs. You can do them LMS, learning management systems, that will automatically push out short snippet videos with a quiz they have to take at the end, and they get their certificate if they take their cybersecurity testing, etc. You have to train them, because I showed you what we're seeing today. Tomorrow could be something else. So it's about hesitate and evaluate is the phrase I always use. If you get something asking for money, stop, look up at the email. Is it really from your corporate email.com, or is it really saying it's from corporate? But when you look at the actual underlying email, it says gmail.com, John Doe 12345 at gmail.com. If you click something in an email, a PDF, or somewhere else, and it redirects you to your web browser, and it looks and feels like the Microsoft little login for your Microsoft 365 account, every time you see this, by the way, you look up. If it's not saying Microsoft.com something, back out of it, because you just got distracted and clicked something, and a hacker created an infected website that reproduces, it's very easy for them with AI or manually to create that Microsoft login. You type your work email and you type your password, you just handed your password to that hacker. MFA may slow them down, may stop them, but it's still very bad. And the other reason is because they use Sunflower One at their work email. They use Sunflower One on their Gmail. They use Sunflower One at LinkedIn. Hackers know this. So that's why it's really bad, even if you have MFA, because maybe you miss some of your accounts, and they will move quick and they will take over your accounts in your life. So what can you do? This, right? Stay informed. Partner up with somebody like BridgePoint that can talk to you about AI and how to improve and reduce your risk, or improve the protection and reduce your risk. Budget's always important. Small, medium business, it can be tough. Where you want to spend your money? Should I be spending on advertising, or should I be spending it on protecting my systems? We get it. We've got a very strong IT stack of a variety of things, but you have to have minimal things. You have to be patching. You have to be monitoring. So we have all kinds of solutions that will greatly reduce your risk to, I will never say 100% because of hackers and AI, but we'll come really close to just locking down the environment so people can just work and they don't have to worry as much. But again, I can't stop users from giving out their passwords over phone calls. And foster security culture. We do have an AI product that uses what's called zero trust. Word should be looking at Word documents. Word should not be running PowerShell. So that's just bad. So it's a zero trust. We have an AI cybersecurity solution that says, I don't trust anything unless it's already a known behavior. Word should be doing Word. Email should be opening emails, etc. PDF should be opening PDFs. It looks for zero trust. As soon as something tries to do something outside it, and it's an anomaly, it can lock it down. You have to extend that concept to letting people in with a building card, right? You're going to use your card reader outside a building and you see somebody you've never seen before. I'm like, oh, I forgot my card. Can you let me in? I know it's uncomfortable. You have to say no. You can't trust people. You can't trust emails. You can't, just don't trust anything. It's that bad. but it's really, you have to do it and you have to interact with the internet and emails. So again, it goes back to hesitate and evaluate. Anytime you get a sense of urgency, they're asking for your social security number, of course, they shouldn't, or we saw weird behavior in our account, click here to reset your password. Don't click that link, even if it looks legitimate. It's better to go on your own and log into that platform and change your password manually. Don't use the link in the email. All the time. Sometimes you have to go say, I forgot my password, and then it sends you the email, but that's expected behavior. You told it to send it. But if you just get a random email one day and it says your, Facebook account had weird behavior and you need to change your password, click here. Those are the ones you got to slow down on. But it is kind of just slow it down. Try not to really trust anything till you've validated that it's from a true source. This last one I'm going to show, again, just more for the entertainment side, but also the threat to marketing folks and graphic artists. This is another free engine. You go out and you can tell it's still base bones by the GUI. It's not, they haven't put a lot of time into it, but it's functional. You can type in anything you want up top. You can tell it's stuff you don't want. The thing that I like about this engine is you can pick what's called your art style. So as you can see, it said squirrel typing on a laptop. I hit generate, and within a few seconds, you start getting results, which you can download for free. I'll leave it to attorneys in the world that do PTO and trademark. Can you use these royalty free? I think right now, probably. So that's going to be interesting to see how AI is going to be applied from the legal standpoint. And then here I gave it a slightly different feed, and I picked what I go here with claymation. And I said, generate happy squirrel and a payphone in a forest. I don't know. It's probably a late night that night. And this thing starts kicking back claymation style art. I just thought that was kind of neat too. You can do all kinds. You can do professional photo, looks like people. Hands are still difficult for some reason for AI. You'll notice hands will have 6 fingers or 3 fingers. But again, this is still not at the leading edge, but these are free. Imagine what you can do with paid. Very powerful stuff. So that's the end of the content presentation. Rich,
Thanks, Bob.
I've been monitoring the Q&A at all, if any questions came in.
Yeah, and just to let the participants know, we have a little under 10 minutes remaining. So if you have a question that you haven't entered into the Q&A section, please do so now. There were 2 questions that were sent to me through chat, Bob. The first one is, what is the best way to audit our current cybersecurity strategies? So I think the question is about how do we make sure that we're protecting ourselves against AI?
Yeah, because you pay for, let's say you pay for an Adobe Pro license and you keep using Adobe Reader, which is free. You just wasted money. You paid for something. How do you know it's actually being implemented? So there's a few facets to that. So it would be having an independent third party audit your systems. There are things called VAPT, vulnerability assessment penetration testing. Some cybersecurity riders are now going to be requiring those, it seems. That's the other thing insurance is leading on driving responsibility of corporations and organizations. Because if you want cyber as an add-on rider, you're no longer covered under most as a business disruption. If it's a cyber or data breach, you have to have a second rider and they charge you more money because insurance companies are tired of paying. So VAPT would be a third-party security company that would come in and they'd look at your website, they'd look at your office, they would try to get into your kingdom, basically. The other thing would be, okay, I have antivirus. Okay, that's great. Is it being updated? Because as you just heard, things change every millisecond. So you got to make sure that your cybersecurity software that you're using is actually being constantly monitored and updated. On BridgePoint, we actually get proactive alerts if something falls offline from a cybersecurity perspective. So my techs have to go in and, hey, why, what do you mean this thing hasn't reported in, in 2 hours? So it can be tough because there's not just one silver bullet right now that you can use. Like I said, we call it an IT stack. You have an email security platform for the cloud. You got certain things you're doing on Microsoft 365 tenant, which is cloud-based. Then you got the endpoint for what we'll call endpoint security. We have a zero trust agent. So we have various things that we have in our portal that we have a single pane of glass for each one of those to show alerts and activity. At a minimum, personal devices, if you have Windows 10 or 11, it's running what's called Windows Defender, but you have to make sure you're applying Windows updates. Normally they're turned on by default, but guess what's one of the first things a hacker and malware will do? Turn off your updates because they don't want your 0-day being patched. So real quick, if you're doing it, is start, settings, Windows Update, check for updates. You should be checking that at least weekly. I would say, depending on if you're using it for work, if you're with us, you don't have to do anything because we manage that proactively in the background. But you want to make sure your updates are there. The system tray, as it's called, in the bottom right corner of a Windows device, you'll see little colored icons. You can float on those. So you would see Symantec is running down there. You may have a Zero Trust agent running down there. Now imagine if you have 500 devices, it would be not worth it to do it manually. That's where folks like BridgePoint can come in and take care of all that through our agents and AI.
Okay, thanks, Bob. The second question I have is, how can you test employees to see if they are at risk of responding to phishing emails?
Yeah. I always liked doing this back when I was in-house at my law firm because, you know, not to make fun of them, they were great guys, but, oh, I'm never going to fall for that. Bob, you're overreacting. We're never going to. Well, we have solutions, and I did it back then, called phishing testing. So we will send in, and you may have this at your organization now, so be careful because there's guys like me out there trying to get you to click on it so I can tease you and make you take some testing. It'll say Amazon, change your password. During the tax season, I'll send out TurboTax, and the email will look and feel like it's a TurboTax related type thing to do your taxes. So we do have solutions where we can push out special emails to all of a company's employees, and we sit back and we watch. Did they open it? They get a tag. Did they click the link? They get a second penalty. If they click the link and it takes them to that Microsoft login I described earlier and they enter their password, they're getting called out because that's bad, bad, bad. So there are ways to test. I think it's very important because it will make people go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I fell for that. And then maybe they'll go back to what I was saying with the hesitate and evaluate. They'll get better at it. So phishing testing has value. There's also little 20-minute snippets, 10-minute snippets of videos we can push out through our cybersecurity training system, and it has LMS, learning management. So let's say use it for HR when you're doing an annual evaluation. Hey, I see BridgePoint offered you 20 classes. You took 18 of them. That's great. You know, we're going to give you, you know, a little bump in your pay or a bonus because you participated in those, compared to people that you sent out 20 classes, you know, and they took one. There are things you can use to try to do carrot and stick to get your end user awareness higher through these platforms that we can offer.
Great. Okay, that's the end of the Q&A unless there are any other questions that someone needs to submit. Last call. Okay, well, that brings us to the end of today's webinar. As a reminder, this was recorded, so that recording will be uploaded to our BridgePoint company website for future reference. You can see that website address on the screen right now. Our next webinar is scheduled for November 14th, so a little over a month from now, and that topic is going to be more on a personal level, how to protect yourself and your family during online shopping season. So hopefully you can attend, and if you need to reach out to us for any questions about technology, BridgePoint has more than 20 years of experience helping others improve their cybersecurity, their IT support, and their technology strategy. Our contact information is on the screen and will also be available on the website. With that, I say thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Thanks, everyone.